Okay, my friends, if you've been following me, you know that I just put up a post, a video about the American GIs, the vets, that were exposed to burn pits, and their lives have literally been destroyed. Now, I think I may have a solution to their health, not just to give them more benefits. Now, I have shown over and over and over that bacterial issues are the problem in your gut, and the bacteria are single-celled organisms. They live in the interstitium, it's called. It's a layer which is basically membranes. And in that membrane, it separates the bad stuff from the good stuff. If that bacteria is not there, the bad stuff can get through and go into the good stuff and cause you all kinds of sickness. So once you damage that layer, which is basically your skin, it's inside your body, but the other stuff is outside your body. The lungs, when you breathe in, that's nothing more than like skin. The air, it's going into your skin that's inside your body. Your throat, your nasal areas, your passages, your lungs, your alveoli. Even all the organs you have in your body are coated with the same fascia which holds these bacteria. And once they're no good, the microbiome's done, you're done. And what's the first thing to get hurt with these burn pits? Is the skin. Now listen carefully. Your skin is the largest organ that you have. It's teeming with trillions of microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, viruses. The invisible life forms are known as the skin microbiome. You also have your gut microbiome, which is basically the same thing. It's your skin turned inside out. It's an important part of your overall health. It literally is your health. And what does it do? It's part of a physical layer that separates you, it protects you from the outside world. It works with other parts of your skin too. It fights infections. The bacteria lives in there. They act like natural antibiotics. They are all absolutely natural antibiotics, and that's exactly what their job is. And they have a flagella on them, which is a propeller that can drive them right to the source of infection and kill it instantaneously. If you have that good bacteria. You don't have it, you can't protect yourself. Simple as that. Okay, so focus on the fact that you have to have the correct bacteria in the correct quantities, in the correct places in your body, or you cannot sustain an attack from an invasion. And you don't know where that invasion is coming from. You could eat something that was bad. You could inhale something that was bad. Okay, my friends, this is going to get deep and it's going to get interesting. I discovered interstitium 10, 12 years ago in my mud fossils, and it is a fabric that's found throughout the entire body. I'm going to show it to you in the mud fossils in a second. But and I worked with Gil Headley, who is a very, very skilled PhD anatomist that specializes in fascia. And there's only two people in the world I found that specialized in that. One of them's in Germany, and there was Gil. And he worked with me, 10, 12 years ago. We worked through this. And now they say it's a new organ system. They just say they discovered a new organ. All it is the skin inside of you. The outside skin is another microbiome. The inside skin is just another membrane, just exactly like the skin that surrounds your body, only it's inside, and it separates you from the nastiness. Just like on the outside you get mud and all the nasty toxic stuff on you, it's supposed to leave and wash off your skin. Same thing as it goes through your digestive system, except your digestive system has to pick and choose, what am I going to allow in and what do I have to keep out? Very sophisticated. Now let's look into this a little deeper. You know, as I'm going back through this is really a fascinating story. When I discovered the mud fossils, I originally was taking them out, and they were coming out in these organs, like everything was an organ, or it was like a bone. Like that's the head of a bone, and everything is there to the membrane. Like this one, the membrane's gone. This one here this is called pleura, which is nothing more than fascia, and it's nothing more than the coating that surrounds the organs. This one has been stripped off all the way down to the alveoli. So I'm seeing this, and most all of them have this. Even my goose here, Caesar. You see the pattern of the feathers in the back of his head here? That's a goose. And the same exact chemistry is what they call feldspar. Feldspar. I said, well, what is feldspar? So I started looking into it, and it's oh boy, what is it? I guess it's no, I can't remember exactly what it's sulfur. I guess it's the sulfur attaches to the collagens and creates this coating they call feldspar. I think it's, hold on, I better be sure what I'm saying. All right, I was not correct. It is alumina silicates. Okay, and aluminum is right in the sweet spot. It's an extremely reactive molecule, and it can go both ways. If you put that in acids or salts, it'll just go crazy. And what it does is it invades this particular layer, which is the collagens, and it attacks it and attaches to it, and every single feldspar is distinguished by the presence of alumina and silica. Right? That means that aluminum has grabbed onto the silicates and coated that thing and protected it in that encasement. All right, this is about the interstitium. Scientists say they discovered a new human organ right there under our noses and the skin all along, but it took a new way of examining tissues to figure it out. Now, I use the type of microscope that you can see the whole thing at once. They were doing slides, and when you do slides, it's all flattened out already, so they couldn't see it. See, the research suggests a new network of dense connective tissues, fluid-filled compartments called interstitium, is a full-fledged organ. It is. It's your immune system. That is a group of tissues with a unique structure performing a specialized task. It's your immune system, and that it really literally is. More than 2/3 of the human body is water, most of that contained inside cells. Much of the rest, about 20% of the fluid in the body, is interstitial, a Latin word meaning inter, or between, and sister, or to place, literally between places. Now, this is Neil Tice, I think is his name. He's a friend of Gill's, and he wrote a paper on how this stuff works. And they know that things are being pushed through this interstitial layer. It says it here, the fluid, the tissue connecting them are called the interstitium. They're found throughout the body, both just below the skin, which is a membrane, and in the digestive, respiratory, and urinary system everywhere. Every single organ is coated, every single muscle, tendon, everything has one of these membranes around it. Every cell has a membrane around it. They're all interstitium. Whether the interstitium is an actual separate organ remains to be determined by further research. Well, it's your immune system. It coats you and protects you from invasion. And it also is specialized in the fact that it can allow things in that are good for you and push things out that are bad for you. It creates mucus to slime the stuff, and so the thing won't attack you in the first place. But if it attacks through the mucus and gets into you, it also creates enzymes and catalysts, which are extremely exotic proteins that attack that molecule. And they are designed, and they can be designed so fast you won't believe it. Wait till I show you the research I just found at Veritasium. Okay, this is going to be about how bacteria can mutate. They can change themselves to adapt to the situations that they find themselves in. And it goes both ways. The bad bacteria can evolve to try to still be able to survive. But the good bacteria have to stay one step ahead of them. That's the key. And because you're always going to have that bad bacteria, nothing you can do about it. The good bacteria have to be there just to stay one step ahead of them. And that's what happens. Now, wait till you hear this. This is stunning.
These are bacteria growing into increasingly concentrated antibiotics. The bacteria stop growing when they hit the first antibiotic strip, but then a mutant appears capable of surviving in the antibiotic. Then another mutation occurs, and now the bacteria can survive 10 times the concentration. Then 100 times? And finally, after just 11 days of evolution, these bacteria can survive antibiotics 1,000 times stronger than what would have killed them at the start.
All right, let's just think about that. What would have killed them at the start would be a healthy immune system that would react immediately and destroy it. But because you don't have any immune system to speak of, after 11 days, you're sicker than hell. And that is true. And you can get healthy again within another couple days by putting the correct bacteria in, because it will go in there and whack the hell out of the other stuff. Okay, bacteria's job in you is to create enzymes. That is an enzyme. And it has to be exactly squirted out in that sequence of molecules, and then it twists and circles and spins, and it ends up with plus, minus, minus, plus, 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 minus, 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 plus, 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 two pluses, three, all over the thing, and it magnetically attaches to the virus or whatever it wants to kill, and does its job, and breaks down based on these chemicals. This is one of the most elegant signatures you've ever seen. And that is produced by proteins. I mean, this is a protein produced, and it's an enzyme, produced by the bacteria. You don't have the bacteria, they can't produce the enzyme. Not only that, once they produce that enzyme continues to attack anything that it can hit with all these different magnetic charges. It goes bam, 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 bam. And it does that 1,000,000 times a second. And it doesn't get used up. It goes and wipes out 1,000,000 other guys in 1 second. That's not too bad. And then it doesn't get used up, and by the time everybody else is dead, it says, well, nothing for me to do, and it gets consumed back into your body as debris. The human body is just so elegant, it's unbelievable. And now it's starting to be understood. This is where the interstitium, let's get to the interstitium. Okay, so now, Dr. Thies, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. In about 2018, he did a paper describing how the interstitium works and how it's a fluid-filled highway. And they did some very good research on that, and I agree with it 100%. Now, when I first found this stuff as the membranes, which I call the fascia-facilitated fossilization, I didn't understand it, and the only one that really did know much about fascia was Gil Hedley, and he has a website, YouTube channel. I'll try to give you a link to it. Very good guy, very knowledgeable. That's basically one of his most important things is fascia, and he was very gracious, helped me out, we talked about it quite a bit, and these are collagen-filled fluid bags, and there's a stiff piece of collagen and a flappy one, and what happens is the stiff one is like a spring, and these can squish and do all this stuff, but then they come back, and there's a black ball that anchors the spring, and so you can get pulled this way, pulled that way, here, this way, but everything comes back basically to where it started, when everything's working right. Now, in these bags, they didn't realize it, but they're saturated with these bacteria. And they can go through there 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I mean fast. The flagella on these little buggers, and they're so tiny, they zip right like nothing. And that flagella spins 100,000 RPMs. It's just like a motorboat on steroids. Zip, wherever it's got to go, and then it drops off its enzyme. They're programmed. They know what to do. And there's another one, if you look up, your textbooks are wrong. Well, I might as well show you, because that actually you can see what's happening inside these bags of fluid. They show them as nice clean bags. They're not that clean. Okay, this is Seeker, and this is about what's inside those cells that I just showed you, those interstitium cells. Now watch this.
I remember the moment. It's something I will never forget. The hair on my hands just stood up. It's a microscopic universe within each cell.
This isn't...
All right, basically these are what we were looking at before, the interstitium. And you've got your mucosa, you got your interstitial, all this kind of floppy stuff in there. That's where the fluid lives, and that's where the bacteria live.
Unprecedented view of the cellular world, where we can actually see immune cells scooping up sugars in the ear of a zebrafish in real time.
Focusing only on the crawling immune cells, we've noticed two classes of them. One was not hungry at all, but it was very active in terms of trying to figure out, what the environment is. There was another one that was kind of slouching around with a lot of food in its belly. We can actually conceptualize and visualize and analyze the contents of each of these cellular compartments in this crawling immune cell as it's kind of, scooping up its environment. I mean,
All right, when he says scooping up its environment, they really just discovered this just literally not even a year ago, I don't think, maybe somewhere in that area. And there's a sniffer cell, a sniffer bacteria that says, hey, go tell such and such a bacteria to turn on and create these blue little dots in here, scoop them all up and take them out through the membrane. And that's exactly what it did. If you saw, they're talking about scooping up sugars and so forth. I don't think they have any idea what they're doing at the moment, other than that they're seeing this activity going on. And there's three classes of these cells.
Unprecedented view of the cellular world, where we can actually see immune cells scooping up sugars in the ear of a zebrafish in real time.
focusing only on the crawling immune cells, we've noticed two classes of them. One was not hungry at all, but it was very active in terms of trying to figure out, what the environment is. There was another one that was kind of slouching around with a lot of food in its belly. We can actually conceptualize and visualize and analyze the contents of each of these cellular compartments in this crawling immune cell as it's kind of, scooping up its environment. I mean, that is a level of details no one's seen before.
All right, exactly. But this is what's happening in all of this immune system. And the immune system is this interstitium. All right, so now we know what these bugs are, these bacteria, and you have them in your skin too. It's right below your skin. As it's talked about, that is also interstitium. And what does it do? It fights infections. They act like natural antibiotics. They keep these things at bay. They know how to kill them. They help your immune system work. They alert you to problems. It's just as he said, there's sniffers out there. They tell the other ones to react. They go out and kill things. They heal wounds. They control inflammation. They are the nurses and the doctors inside your body. They're the chemists that work on you while other things are trying to invade you. So you have to have an overwhelming presence of good bacteria in you to fight off these invaders. Now, what affects the skin microbiome? Now here's where it gets a little tricky, because there is a lot that affects your microbiome, even how you were born, and the type of bacteria you were exposed to in the birth process. Mother's milk makes a change in the way you respond to certain things, I believe. I'm not certain about that. If you can, that's a little bit gray area, but mother's milk is provided by the living organism in a certain type of colostrum in the early stages. You have to have this thick, rich milk. And the baby has no digestive system whatsoever in the early phases. None, zero. They come out with no digestive system, and they have to inherit that. And a lot of that is bacterial invasion. And a lot of it is from the birth canal, and feces and everything should be all over that baby when it comes out. And it should work its way into the baby every which way, in ears and nose, eyes, mouth, the whole 9 yards. And that's just a natural birth process. And the more bacteria that baby gets in them, the better they're going to be able to fight off other invading bacteria. Basically, that's the way it works. And your skin is also coated with that bacteria. It's just like inside of you, same stuff. But your skin gets it right on immediately. And I've been told that people that do animal husbandry and take care of animals, someone told me that they let the afterbirth basically sort of linger on the babies for a while because it seems to give them more immunities. I don't know if that's true or not, but I would think it would. Anyway, so the microbiota becomes pretty stable early in life if you have a good healthy immune system, and you didn't have to get antibiotics, and your mother wasn't taking antibiotics, and so forth. Now, when you're about 3 or so, then they can change. So for example, hormones involved in puberty trigger release of sebum, the natural oil that coats your skin. All right, so now you're starting to release some hormones and create some of your own chemistry rather than absorbing it from your mother's biology. And certain bacteria love the sebum. That's why you're more likely to have acne as a teenager. Well, yes and no. Acne is also a part of the microbiome it has to be serviced by the microbiome. And if the good bacteria that you need, that's why only certain kids get get acne. You know, not everybody gets it. You'd say everybody get it if it was that way. But yes, there are, your body has to deal with these oils now at this point. Yes, absolutely, I agree with that 100%. But there should be already programming and bacteria in there that knows how to do that. Now, if you had the correct bacteria implanted in your microbiome, I think you would get out of that. Now, as you know, I just did the one on trying to help the vets that have been exposed to burn pits. Their microbiomes are destroyed, literally destroyed. That's why they're falling ill to virtually everything. And here's what it is: skin condition and a microbiome. Your microbiome can change in ways that aren't helpful. These people need these burn pits with all these toxic, nasty things coming out that the good bacteria that lives on you have to try to defend you from. They can't do it. They get killed. You're invadable. Now, your microbiome can change in very bad ways. The imbalance is called dysbiosis, because there's always going to be a balance in the good and bad. But dysbiosis means you got more. The good guys can't fight anymore. The bad guys are taking over. And they say it's not clear why this happens. Well, it's because it's being invaded, and you don't have the bacteria to take care of the microbiome. It's linked to certain health conditions, and just what they just talked about: acne, rosacea, psoriasis, eczema, in the skin. They're all the same thing. You can't heal. Wounds that won't heal. You don't have the chemistry there. Researchers are also looking into how the skin microbiome affects conditions such as all these other things, because they're all products of chemistry, and they're all products of enzymes, and enzymes are all products of bacteria. That's the problem. So how to keep your skin healthy, that's the trick. Okay, this is pretty incredible. I'm just getting ready to do this about the microbiome and the skin microbiome and health and all that. And this comes up, the illusion of evidence-based medicine. Now, this is Dr. John Campbell. He's got 2.3 million subscribers, so he's a good voice. Now, listen to what he has to say. He's talking about evidence-based medicine. What are we getting from our academics? Are we getting truth? Now listen to what he has to say. This is a guy with a pretty good loudspeaker.
So evidence-based medicine has been corrupted, according to this article, by corporate interests, the interests of companies and profits. Failed regulation. Our regulatory authorities, according to this paper, are failing us. Now, we're not talking about anything particular. This is just a general comment on the way things are at the moment, and the quite frankly appalling lack of trust that we have. In all sorts of things we have lack of trust at the moment. Commercialization of academia.
That's the problem right there. Academia is, I mean, it's all about making money in life. You have to make enough to live, but you have to go by truth, and that's the reason they're supposed to be there. Now, they realize they're going to be in trouble if they start talking the truth, so they make up their own stories.
Academia needs to be the pure pursuit of truth. That's what it's about, and if that's been commercialized and there's financial interest in academia, that is not good. Not good at all.
You got that right, my friend. And that's what it's come down to. And it's to keep their jobs. The hierarchy and the peer review process has destroyed truth.
So these authors argue. So who are these authors? Well, there's John Durandi, research leader. He's in Adelaide. He's also a child psychiatrist, as well as a researcher. And I'll put the links there if you'd like to know more about these people. They'll be in the description. And Lennox McHenry is an emeritus professor, California State University. And this paper was not commissioned. It has been open to external peer review. So there you go, it's been peer reviewed. So this actually is a peer reviewed opinion piece,
See, that's the key right there. They'll only allow what they'll allow. I've been trying to show my evidence, and they won't allow it. Now let's see what they do allow now.
Piece in the British Medical Journal, and it is 100% completely readable. You can read it in about, well, you can read it in about 10 minutes, but it takes about half an hour to go through it, 20 minutes to go through it in any detail, which I would recommend. Well worth it. Don't take my word for things. The whole point about this channel is that I'm pointing you to the evidence and just trying to explain it. Now, solid scientific foundation for practice. This is what evidence-based medicine is. It's a solid scientific foundation for medicine. It's not based on opinion. And even during...
All right, let me just cut to the chase. I'll put a link to this. What I am asking for is simple studies on the microbiome and how to test what is supposed to be in a good skin sample from wherever it is, under your arm, between your, your groin area. Or you're going to have all kind of different skin conditions here and there. I don't know if that's totally necessary to do it in exact detail, but if your gut microbiome is repopulated with an extremely healthy gut microbiome population, it should render you basically immune. It should create enough bacteria in your body, and then of course you have to eat right and you have to do a couple other things right. You can't just drink alcohol all day long and smoke cigarettes and do whatever else crazy stuff. Obviously you're going to have issues then. That I can't help you with. But if you want to maintain yourself, and if you have the right bacteria, it's not too hard to do that. I'm telling you, I like this guy. Listen to this.
Come out, they've cashed a few £1 million worth of shares and gone back into senior positions. I believe you call this the revolving door. I'm sure you can think of people that are in that category. So if someone's been in a pharmaceutical company for a few years and they're just cashing a couple of £1 million worth of shares from that company, are they going to be completely objective about making management decisions? Well, of course they will claim that they are, but I'll let you decide how valid that claim is likely to be. Hierarchical power structures and loyalty, people having to do what they're told.
Well, the problem is they have to do what they're told, they lose their job. It's the it's the top dogs pushing the other people around, and it's peer review that forces everybody to do what they're told to do, or get the hell out of the way, you're going to ruin our business. And it's a business now, and it's become very, very upsetting. All right, the whole reason I've been talking about these fecal transplants at this moment is because of these veterans that are in such desperate conditions, and I think we need a study. Just in 90 days we can tell one way or the other. I called for this, and Senator Rubio and Gillibrand, who are touting that they're going to help the veterans. Now, I think that within 90 days we should know one way or the other if this is going to be beneficial. If it is, it helps in every respect. Not just that we can give them some money, we can give them partially their health back at least. We can, and that's going to save a ton of money on the other side. It's good for everybody. And it just needs 90 days to be tested. And I don't think there's any doubt now that there's a good possibility they're going to find there's extreme benefits.